There are moments in life when the noise of the world becomes so loud, so overwhelming, that it drowns out the quiet whisper of your own potential. You see, many of us spend our days distracted by the opinions of others, chasing validation and seeking approval from voices that do not know the depth of our calling. But let me tell you something. True greatness begins not in the approval of others, but in the quiet strength that emerges when you turn inward. There's power in silence. It's in that stillness, that moment when you tune out the distractions, that you begin to hear the voice of purpose. You begin to understand who you really are, not who others want you to be. The journey of growth doesn't require a loud proclamation. It requires deep focus, discipline, and the courage to silence everything around you to hear what you need to hear for your own life. When you focus on yourself, when you take the time to invest in your growth, to understand your purpose, that's when transformation happens. It's not about what others see or say. It's about what you do when no one's watching. When the world's noise fades away, and you're left with the clarity to create the future you were destined to live. In the chaos of life, we are constantly surrounded by noise. People speaking, media blasting, opinions flooding our social media feeds, and expectations from every direction. It's easy to get lost in the noise, to feel as though we must constantly respond, react, and be engaged. Yet in all this noise, there is one powerful tool that many overlook. Silence. Silence is not simply the absence of sound, but the presence of focus, clarity, and strength. The Bible speaks of silence in various ways, urging us to quiet our hearts and minds in order to hear God's voice. In Psalm 46:10, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." This isn't a passive command. It's an invitation to stop, to cease striving, and to focus on the presence of God in the midst of life's distractions. Silence allows us to hear the gentle whispers of wisdom that often get drowned out in the noise. Without it, we are unable to truly listen to the deep callings of our hearts or the divine guidance that is always available to us. Consider the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 19. After a dramatic showdown with the prophets of Baal, Elijah fled to a cave in the mountains, exhausted and overwhelmed. He experienced strong winds, earthquakes, and fire, but the Bible tells us that God wasn't in any of those mighty forces. Instead, God spoke to Elijah in a gentle whisper. It wasn't the loud, attention-grabbing events that carried God's voice. It was the quiet whisper. When was the last time you took the time to listen for that whisper in your own life? Think of a busy street filled with cars, people rushing in every direction, and the constant hum of activity. Now imagine stepping away from that street and finding a quiet corner, maybe a peaceful park or a quiet room. It's in that silence where clarity begins to emerge. It's in those moments of stillness that we can hear our own thoughts and reflect on our purpose. We often think we need to keep moving, keep talking, keep doing. But in reality, the moments of silence are when we are able to listen to what truly matters. Our goals, our dreams, our values, and our God-given potential. Silence is not just about hearing God. It's also about hearing ourselves. It's about understanding who we are and what we are meant to do. Think about a carpenter in his workshop. In the chaos of a busy day, the noise of the world could distract him from his craft. But when he's working in silence, he's able to focus on the details of his project, paying attention to each precise measurement and careful cut. His work becomes a masterpiece, not because of the noise around him, but because of the clarity in the quiet. The same applies to us. When we're able to quiet the distractions of life, we can work on our own personal masterpiece, our own journey of growth and development. The problem with noise is that it pulls us away from our center. It distorts our vision and keeps us from seeing things clearly. It's like trying to read a book in a crowded room. The words on the page might be meaningful, but the noise around you makes it hard to focus. In the same way, our lives become cluttered with the distractions of others' opinions, societal pressures, and our own fears. Silence allows us to clear away the clutter and get a real sense of who we are and where we're headed. You ever find yourself constantly moving from one task to the next, never really pausing to reflect or recharge? If so, it's no wonder that clarity feels distant. We've become so accustomed to the noise, so accustomed to the need to constantly be doing, that we've forgotten the power of being still. But being still doesn't mean being inactive. It means being present, being intentional, and being aware. It means allowing yourself to be in the moment, to absorb the wisdom around you, and to hear the quiet voice of your own heart. Let's take a moment to reflect. Are you truly listening to the voice inside you, the one that's guiding you toward your purpose? Or are you too distracted by the noise of the world? Can you identify moments in your life where silence brought you clarity, helped you make better decisions, or allowed you to hear God's calling more clearly? Silence is not just a retreat from the world. It is a return to the heart of what matters. End of return to the heart of what matters. It is in the quiet moments that we can better understand our true desires, our divine purpose, and our capacity for greatness. Don't just fill your life with noise for the sake of staying busy. Seek moments of stillness, moments where you can focus, reflect, and hear the voice of your purpose. It's in these moments that you will find the clarity and direction you need to move forward with strength, confidence, and focus. Remember, the most profound insights are often found in the quiet. In a world that constantly tells us to look outside ourselves for answers, it's easy to forget that the greatest source of strength lies within us. We are often told to seek external validation, whether it's through likes, approval from others, or the constant need for recognition. But in truth, your journey of growth, success, and purpose begins when you look inward, when you focus on your own development and recognize that everything you need to succeed is already within you. The Bible speaks of the power of inner transformation and growth repeatedly. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Your heart is not just a physical organ that beats in your chest, but the very core of who you are. It is the place where your desires, your will, and your purpose reside. When you focus on developing your inner self, you begin to align your actions with the true desires of your heart. The external world may try to shape you, but your inner growth will define you. Consider the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, 14 to 30. The master gave his servants different amounts of talents, symbolizing resources, abilities, and opportunities. 2 of the servants invested their talents and made them grow, but one buried his talent out of fear. The key lesson here is that growth happens when we invest in what we have within. The servant who buried his talent didn't focus on developing it. Instead, he allowed fear and doubt to limit his potential. It's a reminder that what you have within you, your unique skills, passions, and abilities, need to be nurtured and cultivated in order to fulfill your purpose. In real life, think about a gardener. A gardener doesn't simply wish for his plants to grow. He tends to them, waters them, removes the weeds, and makes sure they have what they need to thrive. Similarly, your inner potential needs care and attention. Growth isn't a passive act. It requires active investment. It takes focus, time, and effort. But the good news is that the more you focus on developing your inner self, the more you begin to realize that you have everything you need to succeed. Your potential isn't dependent on outside circumstances or people. It is contained within you, ready to be nurtured and brought to life. Now let's reflect on a question. How often do you spend time cultivating your own growth? In a society obsessed with instant gratification and external validation, we often neglect the slow, steady work of self-development. It's easy to look at someone else's success and wonder what they have that you don't. But the truth is, their success is a result of their own commitment to their personal growth. We all have unique strengths and gifts, and it is by focusing on those and developing them that we unlock our true potential. Another aspect of focusing on your own growth is understanding that your journey is unique to you. Many people waste time comparing themselves to others, wondering why they aren't where someone else is. But comparison is a thief of joy. It leads to frustration, envy, and self-doubt. Instead, focus on your own progress. Understand that your path may look different from others, but that doesn't mean it's any less important. As the Apostle Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 12:4-7, there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. Each of us has been uniquely gifted and called, and when we focus on developing those gifts, we move closer to fulfilling our purpose. Think about athletes, for example. A sprinter does not train like a long-distance runner. They both have the same goal, to run faster. The most successful people are those who focus on honing their unique abilities and growing within their own lane. It's also important to remember that growth doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a journey. In the same way that a seed doesn't immediately become a tree, your potential doesn't instantly come to fruition. It requires patience, persistence, and time. Galatians 6:9 encourages us. Let us not become weary in doing good, or at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but it is in these moments that your true character is built. Focusing on your own growth means understanding that the process is just as important as the result. It's through perseverance that you truly become the person you were meant to be. So ask yourself, are you dedicating time to nurture your own growth? Or are you too focused on seeking outside that? Are you comparing yourself to others? Or are you concentrating on developing your own unique path? When you choose to focus on your own growth, you begin to unlock the fullness of your potential. Your success will not come from the approval of others, but from the consistent, intentional effort you put into becoming the best version of yourself. In the end, the journey of growth is a personal one. It's about taking the time to cultivate your own strengths, your own purpose, and your own vision. And when you focus on that, you will not only find success, but fulfillment in the process. We live in a world that often prioritizes external approval, whether it's likes on social media, praise from our peers, or the recognition we receive from the things we do. It's easy to get caught up in seeking validation from others, to measure our worth based on how others see us or how much applause we get. But the truth is, external validation is fleeting. It is not a stable foundation for your self-worth, and it cannot sustain you in the long term. True fulfillment comes from knowing who you are, understanding your value, and being secure in your own identity, independent of external opinions. In the Bible, we see several examples of individuals who were not defined by the opinions of others. One of the most notable is Jesus Christ himself. Throughout his life, he was ridiculed, misunderstood, and rejected by many. Yet he remained steadfast in his purpose. In John 5:41, Jesus says, "I do not accept glory from human beings." He knew his worth was not tied to human recognition, and his mission was not contingent upon the praise or approval of others. His identity and purpose were rooted in a higher calling, one that transcended the opinions of men. This is the mindset we must adopt, to focus on our purpose and remain true to who we are, not swayed by what others think. Consider the story of David and Goliath. When David went to battle against Goliath, he was mocked and underestimated by his own brothers, who questioned his ability to succeed. Yet David didn't let their criticism deter him. In 1 Samuel 17:28, his brother Eliab says, "Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness?" David could have been disheartened, thinking, if my own family doesn't believe in me, why should I continue? But instead, he remained focused on what he knew, that he had been anointed by God for this moment. He didn't seek approval from others. He trusted in what God had called him to do. In the end, he triumphed because his confidence was in God, not in the validation of his brothers or the crowd. In our own lives, it's easy to seek the approval of others. We often measure our success by how others see us, whether they approve of our decisions or whether they praise our achievement. But think about how unstable that foundation is. One day, people may praise you, and the next, they may criticize you. If your self-worth is anchored in others' opinions, you'll be tossed back and forth by the changing tides of praise and criticism. True peace comes from realizing that your value is not determined by the opinions of others, but by the truth of who you are and what you are meant to accomplish. Consider a tree that grows in a forest. It does not grow to seek approval from other trees. It doesn't care whether the leaves of the tree next to it are greener or whether its trunk is straighter. The tree simply grows, reaching towards the sun, fulfilling its purpose of producing fruit and providing shade. Its worth is not measured by the trees around it, but by its own unique purpose. Similarly, you are called to grow and fulfill your unique purpose, not based on what others think of you, but based on the value you bring to the world. Think about your own life. How often do you seek approval from others? How often do you adjust your actions, your words, or your decisions based on what others might think of you? Are you truly living for yourself and for your purpose, or are you living for the validation of others? It's important to reflect on this, because seeking validation from external sources can lead to frustration, anxiety, and a lack of fulfillment. When you constantly seek approval from others, you lose sight of what really matters: your own growth, your purpose, and the unique value you bring to the world. When you stop seeking approval from others, you begin to realize that your journey is yours alone. No one else can define your worth, your purpose, or your success. You are the only one who truly understands the challenges you face and the goals you are striving toward. You are the only one who can measure your progress and decide what success looks like for you. It is only by focusing on your own path, not constantly seeking the approval of others, that you can experience true peace and fulfillment. In the end, true confidence and success come from within. When you stop seeking external validation and start embracing who you are and what you are meant to do, you unlock a power that no external approval can ever give you. So take the time to reflect on your worth, on your purpose, and on the journey that lies ahead. Don't let the opinions of others determine your path or your success. You are enough as you are. That you are destined for greatness, not because of what others think of you, but because of who you were created to be. Discipline is a powerful force in shaping our lives. It's the quiet, consistent effort that, over time, leads to significant transformation. We often think of discipline as something restrictive, a set of rules or routines that we must follow to avoid failure or make progress. However, discipline is much more than that. It's the foundation upon which success is built, the unseen force that guides our actions and keeps us on track even when distractions arise. Without it, even the greatest potential remains untapped. The Bible speaks frequently about discipline and the need for self-control. Proverbs 12:01 says, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid." This verse reminds us that discipline is not just about restricting ourselves, it's about embracing the process of growth and learning. Discipline is not meant to hold us back. Rather, it's meant to guide us toward becoming the best version of ourselves. Without discipline, our desires and impulses can easily lead us astray. But with it, we can stay focused and committed to the vision we have for our lives. Consider the process of training an athlete. Whether it's a runner, a weightlifter, or a gymnast, the athlete must be disciplined in their practice, their diet, and their mindset. The work is often grueling and repetitive. There are no shortcuts to success in sports. The athlete doesn't wake up on race day and expect to perform well without the months or years of hard work and sacrifice leading up to that moment. The same principle applies to our own lives. We cannot expect to achieve great things without the discipline to show up every day, without the commitment to do the hard work that others may not see. In 1 Corinthians 9:27, Paul writes, "I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize." Paul understood that discipline was key to achieving the ultimate goal, living a life that reflected his faith and purpose. His commitment to self-discipline was not just for his own benefit, but also for the impact he could have on others. The principle here is clear. Without discipline, our actions lack direction and our potential is never fully realized. The prize Paul refers to is the fulfillment of God's purpose in his life, and that can only be achieved through consistent, disciplined effort. Think about the discipline required to build a successful career. There are no shortcuts to mastery in any field. Whether you're a doctor, an entrepreneur, an artist, or a teacher, achieving excellence takes time, learning, and relentless commitment. In the beginning, there might be doubts, setbacks, and failures. It's the disciplined person who keeps pushing forward, refining their skills, and staying focused on their long-term goals. The person who fails to practice discipline may feel motivated in the short term, but without the sustained effort, that motivation fades. Success isn't about quick wins. It's about showing up day after day, doing the necessary work even when it feels difficult or unglamorous. Discipline also involves making sacrifices, choosing what to say no to in order to say yes to what truly matters. This might mean saying no to distractions, to the things that seem urgent but are not important. It might mean saying no to temporary pleasures that take us off course from our long-term goals. It's about creating a life where your actions align with your values and priorities. In Matthew 16:24, Jesus said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." This call to self-denial is not about punishment, but about choosing the higher path, the path that leads to true fulfillment and purpose. Discipline is the willingness to delay gratification for a greater reward, whether that reward is personal growth, success, or spiritual fulfillment. There is also a deep connection between discipline and faith. When we practice discipline, we are exercising faith in the process and in the vision that God has given us. It's easy to get distracted by what we see in the moment, the immediate results, or the lack of progress. But discipline is about staying committed to the long-term vision, even when we can't see immediate results. It's trusting that the small, consistent efforts will add up to something greater over time. Ask yourself, are you disciplined in your own life? Are you putting in the effort every day to move closer to your goals? Or are you allowing distractions, procrastination, and lack of focus to prevent you from achieving your full potential? When you look at the areas in your life where you're struggling, ask yourself, is it a lack of ability or a lack of discipline? The truth is that discipline is often the missing key to success. Immigrate. It's not that we are incapable. It's that we haven't developed the habits and routines necessary to bring our capabilities to fruition. The good news is that discipline is a skill that can be developed. It's not about being perfect. It's about making consistent choices that align with your goals. Each day is an opportunity to practice discipline, whether it's in how you manage your time, how you prioritize your relationships, or how you handle your emotions. The more you commit to discipline, the easier it becomes to stay on track and reach your full potential. Ultimately, discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. It's the foundation that holds everything together, the quiet work behind the scenes that leads to transformation. So, commit today to cultivate discipline in every area of your life and trust that it will lead you to the success and fulfillment you've been seeking. In a world that often celebrates immediate success and external recognition, it's easy to forget that true greatness is often forged in private moments, away from the spotlight. You're surrounded by examples of public achievement, athletes, celebrities, and influencers who shine in front of cameras and crowds. However, the reality is that what we see on the outside is only a small part of the story. Greatness is not about the accolades, the applause, or the attention. It is about the quiet moments when no one is watching, when the work is done in private and the true character is built. The Bible gives us numerous examples of individuals whose greatness was not recognized immediately, but was cultivated through faithfulness and diligence in private. David, before he became king, was a shepherd boy tending to his father's sheep. His days were spent alone in the fields, caring for his flock, practicing with his sling, and learning to be faithful in the small things. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint a king, David's family didn't even consider him as a candidate. He was out in the field, doing what seemed like a mundane job. It was protection, but it was in those solitary moments that David's character was shaped and his leadership abilities were developed. When the time came for him to face Goliath, he did not rely on external validation or the praise of the crowd. He trusted in the work he had done in private and the God who had strengthened him in those hidden moments. Consider the analogy of an artist working in a studio. The artist may spend hours, days, or even years perfecting their craft, often with no one else around to witness their efforts. The true skill and artistry are developed in these private moments of practice and dedication. When the artwork is finally unveiled to the public, people may be in awe of the finished product, but they rarely see the countless hours spent perfecting it behind closed doors. Greatness, like artistry, is not something that happens in a moment of fame. It is built over time through consistent effort, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to the work, regardless of whether others are watching. In our own lives, we may find ourselves waiting for recognition or desiring the praise of others for the work we do. But we must remember that true success is not measured by the accolades we receive from the world. In Matthew 6:6, Jesus tells us, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." The principle here is clear. God's greatness is cultivated in the secret places, in the quiet moments, when we are not seeking the approval or recognition of others, but simply doing what we know is right. Think about your own life for a moment. How often do you find yourself seeking recognition for your efforts? Do you ever feel frustrated when others do not see the hard work you're putting in? It's natural. They desire validation. But the truth is that the work you do in private, the hours you spend honing your craft, developing your skills, nurturing your relationships, are the moments that truly shape your future. These quiet, unseen efforts are the foundation of success. They build your character, strengthen your resolve, and prepare you for the moments of opportunity when the spotlight does shine on you. Consider the principle of a tree growing deep roots. A tree's strength does not come from the branches and leaves that are visible to the eye. It comes from the deep roots that are hidden beneath the soil. The roots anchor the tree, providing stability and nourishment. Similarly, our true strength and greatness come from the private work we do when no one is watching. The foundation we build in those moments will support us when the public eye is upon us. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others, especially when we see their public successes and achievements. We may wonder why we haven't received the same recognition or opportunities, but the truth is, every person's journey is different, and greatness comes in many forms. Your private work is just as valuable as anyone else's public achievements. The real question is, are you willing to keep working when no one is watching? Are you willing to put in the effort, even when there's no external validation? The key is to trust that the work you're doing in secret is not in vain. It's preparing you for the next step in your journey. As you continue to work on your craft, your character, and your purpose, you will see that greatness is not about the applause. It's about being faithful in the small things. For in Luke 16:10, Jesus says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. The private work we do, the discipline and dedication we show when no one else is looking, prepares us for greater opportunities ahead. It teaches us humility, perseverance, and the understanding that true success is not about the recognition we receive, but about fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. So when you feel unnoticed, when you feel that your efforts go unseen, remember that the work you do in secret is shaping you for greatness. Trust that your time will come, but also trust that the foundation you are building in private is what will sustain you when the world finally notices. Keep going, keep working, and know that true greatness is not in the applause, but in the quiet, unseen efforts that prepare you for your moment. Life is filled with distractions, endless noise, endless demands, and endless things vying for our attention. The world is constantly trying to pull us in different directions, making it difficult to stay focused on what truly matters. In the midst of this, there is a powerful truth that we must grasp. Peace comes from stillness. When we quiet our minds, focus our hearts, and tune out the noise, we create space for clarity, purpose, and true connection with God and ourselves. The Bible is full of references to the importance of stillness and quiet. Psalm 46:10 tells us, "Be still and know that I am God." This simple yet profound command invites us to pause, to step back from the busyness of life, and to recognize the presence of God. In stillness, we are able to tune into His voice and experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. The world tells us that we must be constantly busy to achieve success, but in truth, our greatest moments of clarity and growth often come when we step away from the noise and center ourselves in the stillness of God's presence. Think about the life of Jesus. In Mark 1:35, we read that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where He prayed. Even Jesus, who had a public ministry and was constantly surrounded by people, understood the need for stillness. He knew that in order to fulfill His purpose, He needed time alone with His Father, away from the demands and distractions of the world. If Jesus, the Son of God, needed time for stillness and solitude, how much more do we need it in our own lives? In our modern world, we often wear our busyness as a badge of honor, as if being constantly active and distracted equates to success or importance. But the truth is, busyness often leads to burnout, confusion, and a lack of direction. When we are constantly moving, constantly doing, and constantly reacting to the noise around us, we lose sight of our purpose and our calling. Peace comes when we intentionally create space to be still, to stop, reflect, and recalibrate. Consider the analogy of a musician tuning an instrument. If a musician is constantly playing without stopping to tune their instrument, the music will be out of harmony. The musician must take time to pause, tune the instrument, and ensure that everything is in alignment before they can play beautiful music. In the same way, our lives need moments of stillness to ensure that we are in tune with our purpose, our values, and the will of God. Without those moments of quiet, our lives can become out of tune, chaotic, and misaligned. Think about your own life. How often do you find yourself caught up in the noise? How often do you feel overwhelmed by the constant demands of work, family, and the pressures of life? Do you make time to pause, reflect, and seek God's guidance? Or do you allow the distractions to dictate your pace and direction? It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of daily life. But when we don't take time for stillness, we risk losing our way. We may find ourselves running on empty, disconnected from our true purpose, and unable to hear the gentle voice of God guiding us. Stillness doesn't just mean physical quiet. It also means mental and emotional quiet. It's the ability to silence the inner chatter, the worries, and the fears that so often distract us from the present moment. Philippians 4:6-7 reminds us, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. When we choose stillness, we create the space to cast our anxieties on God, to release the burdens that weigh us down, and to experience His peace. It's in those quiet moments that we can hear God's voice speaking to our hearts, guiding us, comforting us, and reminding us of His promises. In practical terms, stillness can look different for everyone. For some, it may mean spending time alone in prayer and reflection. For others, it might mean taking a walk in nature, away from the noise of the world, to recharge and reconnect with God. It's about finding the time and space to step away from the distractions and focus on what truly matters. Even in the busyness of life, we must make the choice to intentionally create moments of stillness, to rest and recalibrate, so that we can move forward with purpose and clarity. So ask yourself, am I creating space for stillness in my life? Am I intentionally pausing to seek God's peace, or am I allowing the noise of the world to drown out His voice? It's in the stillness that we find true peace, clarity, and direction. It's in those moments of quiet that we are able to hear God's guidance, reflect on our journey, and align our actions with His will. Peace is not found in the busyness, the distractions, or the noise of life. It's found in the quiet moments when we choose to be still and know that He is God. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave you with this powerful truth. The journey toward focusing on yourself and embracing stillness is not an easy one, but it is undoubtedly one of the most rewarding. It requires discipline, faith, and trust in the process, even when the world around us tries to pull us in 1,000 directions. But in the quiet moments, in the discipline of working on yourself, in the refusal to seek validation from others, and in embracing your purpose in the secret places, you are laying the foundation for a life of meaning, fulfillment, and success. Remember, you are worthy of your dreams. You are capable of achieving greatness, not because of the applause or recognition you seek, but because of the steady, quiet work you put in, whether in public or in private. Know that every step you take towards focusing on your purpose and embracing the stillness of life brings you closer to your true potential. Be empowered to remain disciplined, to trust in your purpose, and to seek the peace that only stillness can provide. I wish you all the very best as you journey forward. May your path be clear, your heart be strong, and your efforts bring you the peace and success that you truly deserve. Thank you for your time, and good luck on your journey. Keep pressing forward, and remember, the best is yet to come.